All right, welcome back to Morning Live. As promised earlier, Mr. Ken Masindi is in studio and we want to talk about the male contraceptive. It's been a topic that is actually eliciting some very diverse reactions from different quarters, and of course, as a biochemist also who is conversant with the generic situation as far as now contraceptives are also concerned, because it's a factor term, we'll also be talking about this with him. Karibu sana Bwana Ken.
Thank you very much, Ndima.
All right, now, when you talk about contraceptives, of course, in the back of your mind, family planning comes in your mind, and as it is, there's so much going on about the male contraceptives. We had the female condom, which actually came in, and the male contraceptives is now in place, being tested. The first country in Kenya being actually, the first country in Africa being tested is now actually Kenya. What do you think about the contraceptive itself generally?
Okay, I think it's long overdue. I think it's something that needed to happen eventually. But what I would say is we need to exercise caution. You see, these are drugs that are still in their generic phase. They're still tried in the clinical trials. We call them clinical trials. So up to, we cannot say with certainty that they are safe for use. First of all, you should tell your viewers that because it's not definitive. You need to test them over a period of time. Let's say 15 months, because the initial studies, there's one drug that was successful, but then it was taken for trials. It emerged that it causes severe acne and weight growth among the users that were involved in the study. So it was pulled out. FDA couldn't approve it to continue further studies. Yeah, the male contraceptive. So it's actually quite challenging. You know, unlike the female reproductive system, the male system is quite specific. What you need to target to prevent a man from being capable of making a woman pregnant is you need to target the sperm mobility, you need to target sperm mobility, and then you need to target the testosterone. But the thing is, if you interfere with the testosterone, other than preventing the man from making the woman pregnant, you might interfere with other normal processes. So you find out that you prevent him from making a woman pregnant, but at the same time you interfere with this libido. Yeah, so it's very cautious.
All right. Now, that means there's so much complication already.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Now, when you talk about just taking a gel and applying it on your shoulder, that's kind of scary, because now it's not my shoulder that I'm trying to work on. Eh? You know what I mean?
I guess I do.
So take that gel, the contraceptive, apply it on the shoulder. I believe it should be applied somewhere else. Or what's the biological connection now?
Okay, about that one, it was very mechanical. Apparently, you're supposed to apply it, then you're supposed to not stay in contact with any other person for like a couple of hours, let's say 4 or 5 hours. So you can imagine, Nick, according to your rough schedule, at some point during the day, because you have to do it before, a few hours before you engage in sexual intercourse for it to be effective. So they looked at the modalities and the operationability of the gel. It was actually touted as the next big thing, but then it had to be, the research had to be negated because of the practical aspect. It wasn't so convenient, as unlike taking a pill. You know, you just take a pill, then you're good to go. But then now you have to, it's topical application. Yeah, absorbed through the skin.
Through the skin to your...
basically what it does, it immobilizes the sperms temporarily. It doesn't interfere with them biochemically.
From your shoulder to you...
No. You're taking it taking it in the simplistic version, but basically what happens is I think it's effervescent. It goes through the smelling thing, so it affects. It has the ability to affect the sperm's mobility, not the development or anything. Mobility. So it's a temporarily thing. That's why you're supposed to take it a few hours before.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Now, what do you think about the reaction? Of course, you have your own opinion, which it's clearly that it needs to be given some more time. And you see, Kenya is the first country in Africa, you know, for it to be tested in Kenya. And now, your opinion on the ladies or our women out here, do you think maybe if this thing passes through, it will actually ease in the burden of them now using contraceptives, family? You know, when you talk about family planning, a condom for a man, that's it.
Yes.
The worst situation, vasectomy.
Yes. That's
it. Now for women, injections, tablets, so many things for I don't know how many months. Yeah, do you think now it has actually isn't actually that burden for the women?
You'd be surprised that Mudimba, despite the primary role of family planning, basically it has 3 primary roles, right? You're supposed to control the number of children you want to have. That's for married spouse, people who are in marriage. Then you want to determine the intervals in which you have kids, You want to spread them out. Maybe you say you want to have a kid, then they have a difference of 2 or 3 years. That's the second role of the family planning. Then the major one is to prevent the birth of an unwanted child, okay? That you don't have to be in a marriage not to want a kid. Those are the three main roles of family planning. But you find that out here, most consumers of the products of this family planning are not even people who are supposed to be using them. It's if you ask a lady family planning, the first thing that comes to their mind is emergency pill. Emergency pill is not supposed even to use as a family planning tool because its use and its effect on the female reproductive system is very severe if it's continuously abused. So I think it needs to be regulated, or they need to be educated such that they know their options. Maybe if you are in a long-term relationship, but you don't see you will marry this guy, okay? What you do, you go into, you take the intrauterine. Long time, but long-time acting.
You don't marry this guy. What is
no,
happening?
if you have no intentions of marrying the guy. Okay. So you don't need to have a kid. No, you don't have to have a kid. Yeah, but you want to be in a relationship. Everybody needs some love, okay? Yeah. So what I'm saying, you can take a plan, right? So you go into the long-acting reversible ones, like IUD. Some of them last for 5 years, others last for 10 years. Then you can go on the pill. You take daily. You take daily, or you could go for the Provera injection, which is done every 3 months. Okay, if you follow the routine, you should be fine. You should not be able to get pregnant. It reduces the side effects. You know, any drug is a foreign element in your body. Okay, so you must keep them at a minimum low, to prevent the side effects.
Okay, now for men, the only option, the permanent option, was vasectomy. And I believe vasectomy is a forever thing.
It's irreversible.
Absolutely. You cut it, that's it.
That's it.
Now, do you think now the gel will now smooth and give men confidence that indeed I can get a kid very soon, or maybe it won't actually affect me? Because now when you undergo vasectomy, you won't be able to get a child completely. Now, is the gel an alternative?
It is. Yes. It is an alternative, and I think researchers, it should be funded. This research should be funded as much as it can, because Nick, it's unfair to leave the decision on the lady alone, right? When you make the man able to make to have a say in the process, then you enable them. Like, say, it doesn't depend solely on her, right? I can also do something about it, right? If I'm able to prevent her from getting pregnant, then it enables me, it empowers me. You know, right now, Mdimba, if a lady wants to get pregnant for you, one way or another, she would be able to. Okay, so it leaves men in a cornered situation. So I think having the gel would be a good thing, because nobody will be afraid. You know, you might not want to have a kid today, but you might change your mind later.
I get where you're going.
Yeah.
So do you think that will give men that liberty?
Absolutely.
To say that, hey, I used a gel, I used this.
Absolutely. So that can't be my kid.
Oh, okay, interesting. Now that's a totally different angle now.
Absolutely.
So kuruka ball, kuruka.
It shouldn't happen in 2019. It shouldn't happen. You should be able to, if you want to have a kid, if you're getting pregnant, it's because you want to get pregnant. Yeah.
Wow, interesting. So that means it's a pro to some young men out here.
Absolutely. Because most of them are guilt tripped into some forced marriage situations. Just because you had a kid and you want to step up as a man, you want to be responsible, so you stay put. But that wasn't the original plan.
Absolutely. Because some ladies, I understand out here that some actually, keyword is some.
Keyword, absolutely.
Yeah, sometimes they come and say, this is your kid.
Absolutely. And
you have to go to the DNA way. It's very tedious. Now, affordability and accessibility also. Do you think now this will be very important? Because when you say a young man who's not ready for marriage, or who's not ready for a baby, and can actually access this, and of course now also can afford it, do you think now that will also be part of the very key? They should actually look at these things keenly.
Okay, if you look at the opposite, the e-pill, drugs that are basically for major consumption, they're usually regulated by the FDA. If it's for use by many people, it has to be regulated such that it's easily available to many people. So I don't think the pricing can be an issue, because they'll have to find a common ground so that any other guy, even at the university, is able to access these drugs, because it's essential. There's no pride in fathering kids that you can't take care of.
Now, something else, Ken, is you know, when you talk about the human anatomy and of course the health overall, it always comes with implications. Some people, our ladies, and of course our women, sometimes the effects are very adverse on their bodies. Like that's maybe, for example, that is for 5 years. Something that is put here, something like that. So 5 years, but you see, these things, they just can't leave you in peace. There might be some effects, some reactions in your body. For the 5 years, you'll be with it. Yes, you're trying to plan, but the adverse effects. Do you think now that adverse effects should be looked also into? You mentioned for it to be given time, and the testing is still going on.
Yes.
Now, talk about the adverse effects.
Okay, you see, Dimba, the way drugs work in our body system, some of them, they target hormones. If you see, like for the ladies, usually some of them are hormone-based, okay? So basically, it will target a specific section in the hormone to prevent a certain action from occurring, right? But in the process of targeting the hormone, it might have what we call off-site effects. Like, this was not the intended action, but it did happen anyway. So as pharmacologists, they will tell you, they try to increase the efficacy while reducing the toxicity. That is, you want to make sure that it does more of what it's supposed to do and less as much as possible of what it's not supposed to do. But like any other process in life, you can't have a 100% efficacy and zero toxicity. So that's why I'm telling you, they need to do further research so that, wait, it's working as a family planning tool, but what are some of the effects? Like today, you might release a product into the market, then men are saying, I'm using it, I haven't had any difficulties, and I think it's okay, and I think we should have this thing in the market. Then 10, 15 years down the line, you start having men with certain symptoms or effects that originated from having used these drugs. So that's why it needs to be taken through a severe and a rigorous training. You know, clinical trials, they start with a simpler model of the human being. You can start from the rabbits, then upgrade to up to the monkeys. So if we see their enzymes, because their enzymes are all more or less the same to ours,
so
and there's the effects.
Sacrifice rabbits first.
Okay. Ultimately, in terms of classifications, humans are considered the highest level of classification. So it's allowed in terms of research. Before you can do studies on human beings, you must have successful clinical trials on the lesser models. So that's what happens. So what you said about the side effects, that's where it gets tricky, because it might work. Chances are it might be very effective actually. But then what happens, you get a guy, it's working, but now he can't even show up for what he's supposed to do. You know, your libido is so down, it becomes counterproductive. You get the point.
Okay. Yeah. Now, I have a question from a viewer. Of course, you can keep on sending your SMSs on 22999, and the questions are coming in. We have Faith asking that how is it possible for a man to apply it on the shoulder and doesn't actually affect the other man, and why should he be kind of separated from the other man? Because now, the question is simply, why should he be separated?
Okay, the reason why he should be separated, not another man, but any person, even your kid, if you have a child, it means it's topical, it's absorbed through the skin. So if I come into contact with you, then you have the chances of also absorbing it. And let's say it's a lady, why would she want to use the topical application? So it might cause unintended actions. That's it. Yeah.
Now Joyce is asking, can it be used on women also? Because now, yes, it's a male contraceptive, but you see, when you apply it, can it also work on women?
No, it can't, because it targets the sperm's mobility. So women do not have sperm.
Of course, it's a fact. Now.
I have to answer the question.
Yeah, it's true that. Thank you for that, now, Ked. Another question here from Pauline from Kabete. She asks now, what if men now use it to kind of set up women?
Now that's a social discussion. There's nothing you can do about it. In terms of how people react, how people, you could say the same thing. How women have been using it to blackmail men, right? So that's a conversation. I could say it's perhaps a different conversation that people need to have. The role of family. How do people view family, right? How do you view relationship? How do you go into a relationship? What are your intentions? So that's a whole different conversation, which at this point we might not be able to tackle effectively.
All right. A question from our director, Raul Chap. He's asking, why the shoulder and not the thighs, not the toes, not the neck? Why the shoulder?
Okay, I think it's generating a lot of interest because of the shoulder bit. But I think I do not want to give misinformation, but from what I've gathered from my research, I think they made it possible such that if you're rabbiting your shoulder, chances are you're not going to, if I sit this way, chances are I'm going to touch any other part of my body. But what are the chances? Unless I want to scratch my shoulder, I won't be able to come into contact with it. But if I apply it on my thighs, I'm sitting already, it will be coming into contact with my hands. So it's more effective right here because you can sit still, I can watch the TV, right? And it's just working.
So it's something that can be applied anywhere?
Yeah, ideally, because it's topical. What I'm saying is even if you put it on your feet, it doesn't matter. It's topical. It still be able to. But we put it here so that it's more comfortable for you. You can be doing something else, right? Yeah, sure. You could play video games, I don't know, for instance, while it's still working. That would be, there's no scientific background or idea about it. It's for convenience use. I would say that.
Yes. The risks of STIs, HIV and AIDS, we shouldn't escape from that question. We talk about male contraceptive. You know, sometimes, you know, we've had PrEP and?
Yeah, the PrEP.
The PrEP and the other one is
the post-exposure prophylaxis.
Absolutely. Now, you see, there was a debate about now the spread of HIV and AIDS and STIs because giving people confidence just to carelessly have sex. Now, this male contraceptive, you know, the male species with their kind of the operations out here, the contraceptive itself, is it also kind of exposing people with the fact that that is giving confidence to these guys who can now use it and now just be careless in one way or another?
I'm actually glad, Nick, you brought that up because I think sexual education is something that needs to happen in our middle level institutions, tertiary institutions, in our colleges. Normally, you ask a lady, what are you most scared of when you said you had unplanned sex or sexual encounters, you did have unprotected sex. You say that as long as I don't get pregnant, I'm okay. It's mind-boggling. Like, what are the possibilities? What are the chances that you could get hepatitis, you could get HSV, you could get HIV? So primarily, family planning is supposed to, as the name suggests, to help you plan your family, if I'm being literal. But it's very important also because, you see, we have the condoms, right? Condom is a barrier. Basically, it works as a family planning tool because it forms a barrier. It prevents the male the from entering the female system, right? But it also works such that it prevents. But you see, if I'm applying a topical application, which makes it impossible for me to make a lady pregnant, but what happens when I'm having unprotected sex? What are the chances that I'm going to contract any other disease? So people need to be educated on why they engage in sexual activities.
All right. You're now taking a short break, but Bwana Ken Masinde is still in studio. He'll be telling us more about the male contraceptive, but you can still send your SMSs on 22999. We'll be sampling them as we go on. Send your questions, whether you're a man or a woman. This topic is actually affecting both sides. So send your questions to Mr. Ken. He's a biochemist. Trust me, he's only 25 years old and he's doing well in this city. So he knows his trade. And also we'll be talking about biochemistry because now it's one of the courses that wants to be scrapped from the syllabus. And he spent good 5 years in school studying biochemistry. So he'll be telling us more about also that situation. All that coming to you after a short break. All right, welcome back to Morning Live. Ken is hilarious. Anyway, we're discussing about the male contraceptives and so much reactions coming in because now people are wondering how the male species will behave with that contraceptive in play. Already, it's starting to be against the men now because now the liberty of men trying to jump from one corner to another will be achieved because now there'll be there'll be less catastrophic unwanted pregnancies and blame games out here. Now, Ken, back to you. The question, why didn't we as men be given maybe tablets or capsules to take? Because now, yes, a gel is something easy to use, but now, of course, our ladies, they've been doing this for quite some time. Femiplan, everything. All those jargons now, family planning, everything. Why are the men not given the tablets and capsules? Okay, I think we had mentioned this earlier, but I'll be it in passing.
Sure. Okay. So what they do when they create the pill, you target the hormones, okay? They are hormones that are responsible. You need, before you are into your cycle, reproductive cycle, you get hormonal surges, right? They make you ready.
Sure.
Right? So for the male system, the most important hormone we have for this particular reason is the testosterone. But you know, for the ladies, in fact, if you are to make a male contraceptive, you need to use of the progesterone. Progesterone is part of the female. They have an hormone called the progesterone. So from a component from it is used combined with the testosterone to make the the contraceptive. But you see, for the ladies, we can target the other hormones that are involved in the cycle. But for a man, when you target the testosterone, you want to prevent, you are interfering with so many. You see, like your ability to grow beards, all those things, they depend on your testosterone to keep your voice, everything. It's because of the testosterone. So if it's inhibited, ushesikia wakisema uko na umama, so you might likely start having those people, that men with umama, like testosterone. It's what makes you a man, basically. Without the testosterone, you're just another body, so another body. But the testosterone gives you that the male complex, not the negative one, but for you to be a functional male adult. So it's not possible to extremely target it. So it has to be regulated. That's why you see they have not come up with so many pills for the guys as we have for ladies. That's basically it.
The doctors who are conducting the research, of course, the one is Dr. Kinuthia, who's been in the game for quite some time. And what he said is, as much as we are in the test period, there's a high percentage that this is a success story. Now, the success story, you know, when it is successful, that means now it's actually be in the public domain. In so many ways, information-wise, physically, it will be in the public domain. Now, the response. Do you think now there should be more education on how to use this? Because they shouldn't rush this thing. The education, the know-how also to use it, the catastrophic effects that maybe we'll have. You actually have contact with someone, that's it. Also, they'll be affected in one way or another. What's your opinion on this? My
opinion, I would say, as I already said before, when it comes to something that is medical or it's drug-related, you need to be informed. You see, people, like you have a smartphone, right? If you type in, say, signs and symptoms of so and so, you will get a whole load of information, which might actually get you to panic. Normally, it's not scientific, it's not factual. So when you go to the WebMD, that's your reference material. When you're arguing with somebody,
so
you say,
many people actually go
people do that. You go to a doctor with a preconceived notion that you know what you're actually suffering from, when you actually don't know anything. So people should stay grounded, get the facts right. So you said it's Dr. Kinuthia, right? What I expect as a scientist is Dr. Kinuthia will come up with a portfolio, give us the brochures and the write-ups. This is the information. This is the scientific, how it works, right? Then these are the side effects. Then this is how to use. So when you have this information, then you are able to make a knowledgeable decision on how you're supposed to use the drug for the intended purpose. If you have that information in the public domain, I'm glad they do this in the US. They have the Federal Drug Agency. It regulates how these things work. But in Kenya, somebody just goes and bribes the guys in cabs, whatever, those bodies involved in the certification. Once he has the product in the shelf, it's done. Nobody cares about how are we supposed to use this drug. You tell the pharmacist, but he doesn't have the actual information. So it ends up causing more harm than good.
We have to talk as it is, Ken, because the issue of P2, you know, that's the readily available.
Too,
Absolutely. Postulates or something like that. It's been something, let me tell you, the usage, millions and millions of young ladies have been using this thing. And the effects, of course, you mentioned the effects. But now, let's talk about the fake ones in the market. You've just told us about the situation whereby some quality assurance bodies are bribed to maybe push some products to the shelves. And the fake ones in the market, at some point, it was really catastrophic where people got pregnant big time because now of the quality issues. Talk about now regulating this thing. When you talk about
it's very unfortunate, Nick, because one of the effects we've realized with Positron True are excessive and unnecessary use of this emergency. You see, the word is emergency pill. What are we saying when we say it's emergent, right? Or maybe you've been unfortunately, or rather unfortunately, you've been sexually harassed or molested, right? You've been a victim of rape. You see, that is a case where it necessitates the use of emergency pill. But a guy and a lady, they've just gone out drinking, then tomorrow you walk out into a pharmacy, then you said you have an emergency and you need to use the pill. Then you do that next weekend and thereafter. That is misuse of the drug. That is not the reason it was intended for. There are other alternatives for a controlled family planning method. So other than actually causing the unintended pregnancies, it predisposes some ladies, it has been shown, to cancer.
Is it?
Some of the components of the this is some research it has shown it predisposes. What I mean by that, it says it makes it easy for you to get some types of cancer. So it's not something that ladies should be so happy to use. Actually, as a man, you should always insist that what are our options. You know, you should put it out there so that you don't put a lady in a situation where you back her in a corner that it's already happened. Now you have either use the pill or you get pregnant. So we need to make this decision before so that we don't use it aimlessly. Because some ladies, if you have, let's say, 70 kgs and below, the E-pill positron 2 has been shown to work effectively. But if you are above 70 kgs, then it also becomes less effective. That has also been proven.
Why the weight factor?
I don't know, but I think the ability of the drug to work, I think if I don't want to go into the technical jargon for the sake of our viewers, but I say it needs to, it works with the, when a drug enters the system, we have what you call the ADME profile, absorption, distribution, metabolism, and excretion, right, from the body. So a female of a body weight exceeding 70 kg, one of the 4 processes, the ADME processes, is interfered with the metabolizing part. Okay, so the drug isn't as effective as it is on a female of a lower. Yeah, so if a lady is above 70 kg, sometimes it's advised she should consult the pharmacist if she can use double the dose. You can usually be given, you can be given prescribed. I'm not saying, if you're given, they go ahead. You know, drugs work based on your weight, body mass ratio. The dose that you take is not the same as the dose for a kid of 10 years.
Very true.
Yeah, because of the surface area.
The surface area.
Yeah, that kind of thing. So it's something that they need to do. So a lady might use it, then say, but I used the pill, but it didn't work. Yeah. So that are some of the cautions that they need to take when they're using.
I'm also learning, my brother. Anyway, so something else. Should these e-pills actually just be regulated, and it shouldn't be an over-the-counter thing?
Very correct. Because I was actually thinking, you see, when you are exposed, you go to the hospital. Usually, you want to do an HIV test. You'd be asked what prompted your reason. If you had an unprotected sexual encounter, they'll ask you who's the partner, or did you have a partner, or was it a random act, right? The thing is, they're trying to create history because you might have been exposed, but it's too early for it to show. So even if somebody had unprotected sex, it could be that you will not get pregnant, but you've been exposed to certain viruses. So regulating it means you need to go to a health facility, like a hospital, where we take your record and you can track patient information. So you say, this guy, he got a PrEP or rather something, to pre-exposure, right? But then we need to monitor him. Like what happens after 3 months? Maybe the viral load is now higher up to be detected. It's risen to detectable levels. So now we can take medical action on your. That's the reason too. But if you walk right into a pharmacy, you just take the receipt and you have your meds and you're gone. Nobody will know if you are exposed to hepatitis B, hepatitis A. So it's important to regulate it so that we can keep track of these people.
For the male contraceptive, there's so many ways of actually just preventing it. And trust me, we'll talk it as it is, because now Switch TV, we actually now, we appeal to the youth, 18-year-olds to 35-year-olds, maybe even to 40 sometimes. And so there's a behavior, say pull-out game so strong, some very funny situations actually the youths are using out
I've heard that. Okay, when you say pull-out game so strong, what those people are saying, they need to know.
Is it a form of contraceptive?
I don't want to go on record saying that. It is not.
It is not.
But this is a big but with a capital B. If the lady is aware of her cycle, pull-out, hey, but don't quote me on this, pull-out can work. But the lady has to be certain. You see, there are only a maximum of, let's say, like 5 days in the month where a lady can get pregnant. Actually, it's a window where if it doesn't happen, it's not going to happen. So if this lady knows her cycle, she's able to know that now today she's ovulating. She's ovulating, meaning now she's preparing for any possible sperm that might come to fertilize. She's in prime condition to get pregnant. But then if she knows that, I had my periods last week, now I've already shedded, now I'm not in any capability to get pregnant. If her cycles are, what do we call it? We have the ones who have the erratic ones, and then the normal flow cycle. Those ones, they are able to plan it. So a guy might actually use pull-out in that, and only in that instance, but not in. So actually, it comes back to the lady, because the lady has to decide, because she knows her body better. So the guy can only succeed if the lady knows her cycle. But the chances that you pull out and that it's 100% that no sperm it's almost zero. I can say with certainty.
Zero. Okay. Even my producer. Faith was saying it's part of family planning, one of the natural ways. Is it true?
In the streets it could be true on the streets, but scientifically it's not. The only true acceptable methods for the contraceptives for men is 1, the barrier method, the condoms, and 2, vasectomy, which unfortunately is an irreversible.
Very irreversible.
Those are the only ones that are recognized.
Interesting. Now, viewers, of course, we have so many viewers watching right now, and they're wondering now. that's the issue of contraceptives from both sides. You see, during our Father's Days, maybe your dad has around 11 brothers or 16 sisters. Now you wonder what was happening over there, and of course your shushu is still very healthy. Now you wonder what was really happening. Right now you have 5, you're tired, but this one woman, our grandmothers used to have 11, 12. One woman, one man, one woman. And you see, the times are changing, of course. Maybe you can give us what was happening then and now. Was it just a free flow because you could find some sort of a staircase coming in, like in terms of just kids now following each other, very like a gap of 1 year, 1 year, 1 year. Now, do you think times changed also for the better, or maybe now the contraceptives have made us worse health-wise?
That's a very good question. You realize, Mudimba, a lot has changed since the 90s and stuff. You see, you realize probably back then, the most population that made up our population was rural population. But today, if you come to Kenya, for instance, urban population dominates. You see, when you say the rural population made up the majority, it means we were eating healthy. You are eating the herbs. You call them bitter herbs. Ukipatia mtu mboga ya kienyeji. Anasema, I don't do those things. Unasikia atakwambia, I don't do veges, I don't do what and what. But our mothers, they used to be very healthy. You know, for a woman to be able to give birth, you see that amepanga, when you umesema ati amepanga, almost 11. Maternal instincts and the maternity period, it's surely strenuous for the female body. So the reason why it was introduced as a family planning was to help the woman regain her health after one birth before proceeding to the next birth. You know, some women suffer bleeding after the lactation period. Okay, you are sharing nutrients basically with your kid, right? So it's usually strenuous on the body. So the scientists recommended, the doctors recommended that it's appropriate if the woman is allowed some time interval between births, so that before she moves to the next birth, she has regained her full health and she's back to normal capacity. Because the liver, all this they need to support. You are extracting more than you used to, because it's like you are feeding for 2, working for 2. You realize even the emotional aspect, woman and the hormones after giving birth, the oxytocin levels are very high, maternal instinct, so it messes her completely. So it's important for the woman to recover so that they are ready. That's another important use of the family planning tool. So I think what I would say about kitambo, having those family, you see somebody has 1, 2, 3, 4, and I think 7. People are very healthy. 8. So you find this woman has no complication whatsoever, and she has 7 healthy kids. I think the social setup has changed. Hapa watu wanakula KFC, the checkouts and everything. Your body can't metabolize these things properly.
We're not trying to actually
of course it's a free world. You have your choices to make, right? But I'm just saying that's one of the reasons we can't do that anymore. If a lady did that today, she'll have the quality of life very low.
Actually, the choice is yours. You can go to KFC, have a meal over there. You can go to any other joint, have your meal over there. But see, the choice always boils down to you. It's not saying actually that what you're consuming is actually bad, but still, Ken, on some matters, responsibility, we in some communities, of course, let's focus on FGM, like Maasai community, Samburu, all these people practicing such things, and that's actually just a mirror of what I want to discuss about. When you talk about these young girls, as young as 13, 14, being forced into marriages, they give birth very young. Of course, biologically, we know the systems are not that, like, maybe what can I say, grown enough to withstand even the pressure, giving birth and everything. But do you think also such contraceptive ideas should now be kind of now, maybe shouldn't be taken to these people knowledge-wise? Because now our young girls are suffering. As much as we're trying to fight for the early marriages and everything, they're suffering in so many ways. Now, do you think now contraceptives also should be extended to such communities? At least the knowledge, for the men especially.
Absolutely. That raises an ethical question, Mudimba, because when you have an underage girl, a lady below 18 years of age, and then you're trying to give her information that empowers her to engage in sexual activities, it brings an ethical issue. But what you're saying is right, and my heart goes out to the ladies in Samburu, because it should be happening in 2019 that a lady is 13, 14, she's being dragged from her home when she should be being taken to school, right? These are things I'm glad for institutions like Red Cross, they're taking up the initiative to reach out to these communities. It needs to happen, and it should happen, okay? So that, such that the male know that these ladies they should have a choice.
Yeah.
It's my body.
Yeah.
Just like as a man, you have a choice. They should know that they have a choice,
Yes.
whereby you're not being forced. Yeah, it should be their initiative.
Yeah.
Okay, when they are of age, then you have this discussion. You're the man, I'm the lady. Now let's talk. What are we going to use? Does it harm me in one way or another? Yeah.
Okay.
Do I have choices? What are my other choices?
Yeah.
It's not a must that I must take it. Okay.
It's true.
We should empower them. So it shouldn't be happening. I won't recommend that we talk about the pills with kids below the consensual age. If a lady is in college, she's above 18, she's now considered by law an adult capable of making legally binding decisions. But if you are a minor, your parents' decisions are legally binding. Like if I'm your parent, I'm your dad, and I say this, I can go to court and it holds.
Okay.
Because the legal criteria is that you are legal guardian, your parent. That is the authority that is recognized by law. As a kid, hata ukisema sitaki kuishi hapa, what will you do? I'm your father. Okay. So they have no capacity whatsoever to make this decision. Okay.
Do you think times are changing in terms of sex education in our families, whereby, of course, at some point it was a taboo, but right now you can discuss it openly? Do you think times are changing, whereby now the teenagers, the adolescents are now being taken through the education? There were days you can't even mention sex in the house. Yes, that could have been a severe beating, actually. Now, these days, things actually happen. Are you confident with the progress?
I think it should happen, Mudimba. But, you know, we're talking, again, it brings up the issue of urbanity, the urban setup. Yeah. If a kid is brought up in Loresho or wherever, chances are their parent at some point has sat them down and has
what of Sigalagala?
Now you go down to Makuyu, somewhere in Bungoma, then you find a typical Luya man. He will never have those discussions. Or in the coast,
Kisauni, deep down
there. Wanuliza swali gani?
Swali gani bana wewe? Shida yako nini?
Shida yako nini? Watakujua ufanye nini? So you get the point, right? You get the point. In the African setup, our traditional setup is such that those concepts, you are usually told you will find out when you need to find out. Because your parent will ask you, what do you want to know?
Sometimes you find out with the hardest way. The hardest way. Now, when you say the urban setup and the rural setup, or the ex-know-how setup, whereby information is not really spread, circulating in a very nice way, do you think there's a problem also in the urban centers? Because now, you remember in Malindi, that is actually the county. What is this county? Malindi as a whole, of course.
Yeah.
It was very unfortunate that over 20 underage pupils or pregnant at KCPE. You remember that?
When they're going to do the exams.
Now, it boils down to this education.
Sexual education.
Sexual education. Now, what is the gap? What is lacking? Because modern life, there's kind of very reduced numbers. But you see, that county, it was very, very, Kilifi County that is, it was very unfortunate. Over 20 sitting pregnant, some even giving birth because of the tension and all those things. What is happening?
I'll tell you what, Mdimba. You know, you're somebody I know, and I could tell you your background, but I'm not allowed. I can't say these things on air, but we've grown up in the Western County. When you were a young kid, let's say average 14, 13, what was usually on your mind? Playing the Oxivo, we used to call it.
Absolutely.
Those are the things that preoccupied your mind. You do it the entire day, you complete your shift, you go back home, you are tired. And your day was awesome. These days, kids at age 11, 12, 13, they have mobile phones. They have social media. They even have
smartphones.
Smartphones. They have access to the internet, Instagram, you name it. What they do, they get exposed to nudity. They internalize it when they sit down and watch screens. What they're getting exposed to is nudity. So they internalize it and they normalize it. So they say like, okay, nothing bad. Like nudity becomes something that is normal. Back then, for you to get exposed to nudity, you have to be some guy with some connections. You know what I'm talking about, right? But these days it's so easy for these kids to get material, to what I would say explicit content, even videos of music. Quotation. I put in double quotation because some of the stuff we have, there's a rumor, or rather there's a saga going on right now. If you heard something about Ezekiel Mutua, I think you've heard something about that. The exposure that we have, right? These people, they know these things, so they know about sex. Trust me, if you sit down and talk to a kid in Form 1 or even Class 8, Class 7, you'll be surprised of the things they know. Some of them you don't even know.
Before we take a break, and the men who are actually impregnating these women, these young girls.
That's a criminal offense.
The morals. What happened?
The only thing I can say that's a criminal offense. These people should be arrested, charged, and presented in court.
Exactly.
because there is no justification whatsoever for that behavior.
All right. We're not taking a short break. When you come back now, as a biochemist, there's a problem with the university situation whereby now it wants to be scrapped off. And Ken, who is a product of biochemistry, is going to school for nearly 5 years to study that, so he has all this information. That course means some people won't be like him in the future. So he'll be talking about this, the process, of course, how tedious it was for him to achieve that degree, and of course, how now this will be detrimental to our next generation. All that after a short break. Welcome back to Morning Live. Mr. MC Voxy says, very educative show today. Thank you, Nick. And of course on Twitter, that is. And so many of you actually just appreciating the fact that now you're talking about issues facing directly the youth who are affected in one way or another. Thank you very much for always tuning in to Morning Live and of course Switch TV. Now back to you, Ken. Let's talk about the issues about our curriculum, our education system, but let's focus on this on the courses that are being scrapped. And it's unfortunate that you see or hear a course like biochemistry being scrapped. It's very, very shocking also. And you see, from analytical chemistry to biochemistry, all those things, you see, biological courses and scientific courses, there's so many of them actually being now scrapped. You, as a biochemist, you went through that course for 4 years. 4 years, actually. You graduated and now where you're working right now, I believe, is biochemistry related, is it?
Yes.
Okay. Now, why do you think this course is being scrapped?
Dimba, before I answer that question, I think we need to take a recap on the Kenyan education system. I think our system is broken. That's the plain simple term, if I were to use it. You realize the human brain, you are wired in such that you're supposed to know almost everything about something and something about almost everything. What I'm saying is you're supposed to be an expert on something. I don't expect you to be a mathematician, at the same time to be a physicist, at the same time to be a doctor, at the same time to be a language expert, at the same time. But that's what our education system tries to do. For 8 years, you're taken through the general course, where the people who pass the exam on that particular day are considered to be brilliant. They get admitted to the so-called best schools, right? Then they get admission to the universities. That is how our education system is wired. But nobody can become an expert. Even the doctors trained at University of Nairobi, I've studied with them. You see, somebody is being trained on memory based, you know, somebody reads to pass exams, right? Like you are in medical school, you're supposed to be training to be a professional doctor, whereby you know actually what you are doing, that a patient can trust their life with you, right? But then you go around campus, you enjoy life. Then when exams are around the corner, you now say, I'm going to the Kenyatta National Library to study. Then you pass the exam. Then you are considered an excellent student, and you'll make a great doctor. But then you come out now, you are in the field. I've seen them. Now you are an intern. Now you are told, now this is the table. This is the patient. Make a diagnosis. Make a differential. Tell us something that you can deduce from this. These people, they start fumbling. They start sweating. I'm not saying specifics, but I'm saying this is something I've seen. So the education system needs to be rewired such that we train people. You see, Mudimba, you have your natural talents. What you can do best. So if we train you to be this, more of this from an early age, you become better in that thing than trying to make you. Of course, the general education is important so that you are an all-rounded personality, right? You know something. When I talk about law, you know your rights as an arrested person. Do you know your rights as an arrested person? For instance, it makes you knowledgeable. Knowledge is always important. But there's something that we can call you a specialist. Look at Kenya. What do we manufacture? We only export the products, which grow, by the way, from earth naturally. We export tea, we export coffee, and the agricultural products. Sometimes we used to import even toothpicks. So that tells you our education system is memory-based, whereby you're supposed to
pass exams,
take information, then regurgitate, you bring it out, then you're considered to be smart. I don't think you should work that way. Now back to the point of biochemistry and other biological courses. You realize, like I've been saying, you are trained to do this. I'm a biochemist. I preferred virology. I took up virology as my preferred while in campus. So I intend to go in the HIV research, that kind of direction. But you realize, you finish your studies, then you come out here, then you get an intern position, let's say at an institution, research institution like Cambridge, then you are told now, because we want to give you knowledge, we can't pay you, so we're actually helping you to grow your career, right? You are a middle-aged adult living in Nairobi. How are you supposed to cope? Okay, these are some of the challenges these people face after fresh from college. You realize somebody trained as a biochemist, as a microbiologist, but you'll find him as a salesperson somewhere.
Yes.
Doing entirely, or as a banker.
Yeah, different.
So somebody would ask, or a parent would question the wisdom. If you wanted to be a banker, why did I have to take you to study biochemistry?
Yeah.
There's a disconnect. You get? You walk from university, you are trained to do this, you end up in the market placement. Now you have nowhere to fit. Where you can only fit is where you work for free. But if you are to work to get paid, you're told there are no opportunities. You have people. So what happens to these people? That's why the suicide rate is increasing. You find people as so suicidal, depression, mental health issues are becoming rampant because the system is broken. Your training is fine. We are paying the school fees. Some of them are even taking loans to facilitate their education. Then they come out now. They're telling them, we don't have anywhere to absorb you. So you have to adapt. Now you have to know how to play football. You know how to sell stuff. It doesn't work.
Yeah, it's very actually unfortunate. There's a lady who texted us yesterday on the show. We were discussing the same thing with our panelists here.
Yes.
And she was very worried for her daughter because the daughter is actually at the Masinde Muliro University.
Yes.
And she's undertaking biochemistry. And now she asked this is the question actually she sent. Just a minute, and of course as I look for it now, this is it. Please help me. My daughter, she's in Masinde Muliro taking biochemistry. As a parent, I don't understand this course. Even herself, she doesn't know what she's going to be. Please help. She's second year actually in Masinde Muliro. Mama Winnie from Mombasa. So Mama Winnie is a very worried parent.
Okay.
As a biochemist, you went through the course. Winnie is second year student at Masinde Muliro University. That's most. What can you advise?
I'd like to reach out to Mama Winnie. What I would say is biochemistry in itself as a course, it's brilliant. We need the scientists. You know, the doctors, they do the remedy, they give you medication. But people who study the cell system to come up with how they will function in your body. Biochemistry is core to medicine. If you go to study medicine, the core subjects are biochemistry, physiology, and anatomy.
Yes.
So it is not it's not something you can do without. It's important. But for this particular instance, it's very unfortunate. Mama Winnie is doing the right course, but let's just say not in the right environment. So there's no point if it's being scrapped off. My take would be second year is not that far. She could always do a change of career, right? It's not that too late. At least she hasn't graduated. She can always change Mama Winnie. But biochemistry in itself, nothing wrong with it. Some of us actually did. We had options to do something else, but we decided to do it. But if she didn't, you know, these days you're placed to do something, maybe your points wasn't so high or something, then you're placed to do a course. Because you've been offered a position, you have to take it up. So Mama Winnie, advise Win to take up another course.
Another course?
Yeah.
Wow.
Because if it's being scrapped off,
why
it means it's not accredited. It means that if you present the certificate, it won't be recognized.
Okay. Thank you very much, Ken, for coming. And just a word of motivation. Bwana Ken Masinde school in a village school. Let me tell you, in a village school that even they had no generator. And trust me, he came out with an airplane. So we need to be proud of such people because your environment really won't determine what you'll come out. That is the case here. See. Thank you so much for watching. And of course, Ken, thank you so much for your time. You're not taking a short break. When you come back, you want to discuss some matter sports. So Gregory Mulemi and Mrs. Steven Ayo will be in studio shortly. Stay tuned to Morning Live.